We need two pieces of software to do really good audio quality recordings on a PC. The first one is Reaper. This is a DAW or a digital audio workstation. You can download it from reaper.fm. It is actually quite cheap, but you can download it for free and evaluate it for 60 days. That's 60 days. So that's not too bad. If you decide you don't want the annoying messages at the start of using Reaper after 60 days, you can purchase it for $60 for a discounted license or $225 for a commercial license. Here are the rules for using a discounted license, and you can decide whether that applies to you or not. I am an individual home user, so I qualify for it. The second tool you need is Youlean loudness meter. So here's a picture of Youlean loudness meter. This is a plug-in that we're going to use in Reaper to measure the loudness of our audio after we finish producing it. Here's why. If we just record audio and we do not adjust the loudness properly, it'll be either too loud, and when people start the video they will blow their eardrums or their speakers or headphones, and if it's too soft it's just annoying, people can't hear anything, and the signal to noise ratio is quite bad. Now we're going to demonstrate this during this video, so please download and install first Reaper, then the Youlean loudness meter. There's no need to buy Youlean. You can use the free version. Please pause this video, and when you're done installing we shall continue. Hey, welcome to Reaper. We are going to do this recording and then see how we apply it to making PowerPoint presentations. Now that you've installed Reaper, this is this welcoming screen. It gives you no hints on what to do, but that's okay. We can fix all of that. We're going to go through the menu system quickly. And there's some noise in the background. We're going to fix all of that shortly. The first thing we want to do is go to Options. Options, Preferences, and here we can select under audio device what devices we are going to use. So you can see here that my input device is selected as my USB microphone. I could also use a different sound capture device. The output device is my primary sound driver. I can send it directly to my speakers plugged into my computer or directly to my USB headset. Doesn't really matter what you choose, whatever works for you. Mine is already set up, but if you do your first recording, this needs to be done. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to insert a new track. A DAW works on separate tracks for audio. So let's do that. We will insert a new track. We're going to arm a recording on this track, and now we have a signal. Now I'm going to stop talking and watch this signal. There's always something there. And even though it's in the range of say minus 50 decibels, there's still something there the whole time. Right now, as I'm looking out the window, there's a train. The Kuranda train is busy coming up the hill, so that's making noise. But even without the train, my office has a lot of noise, and we're going to deal with that shortly. So let's do a recording. Now we are recording, and you can see here there's some signal going in, as we can see by the lines, and we are going to take this recording and we're going to fix it. For that we need a moment of silence. That's long enough silence, and we're going to use this portion of the audio to fix the audio quality. I'm going to do also a second period of silence because the train is now mostly gone. That's the second period of silence. Let's stop the recording and see what we do with this. Reaper asks you if you want to save your recording or just delete the take. There's the file that it actually saved. Save all. There we go. The recording is now saved. Now you will see, actually let's just zoom out to the whole recording we did. There we go. There's the whole recording we did. These waveforms are quite small. I'm going to double click on this recording and make the waveforms bigger. This is partly for visual purposes, but also just because it will make it easier to work with. Double click, and then there is this button called normalize, and what normalize does, when I click it, it takes these waveforms and makes them larger so that it just fits in the screen height. Press OK. There we go. Now the waveforms are as high as they can possibly be. This one was determining and that one was determining, and they don't need to go to the top and bottom of both positive and negative. Here is our audio recording, but it is full of noise. Now I want to introduce you to what we're going to do to fix this audio. The first thing we have to do is to remove the noise. So we have here effects that we can insert, but if you didn't know that this is where you insert effects, you can also insert effects there. So let's click there. There are a lot of plugins available, and there's the Youlean loudness meter that we installed earlier. There's a VST and VST3. We'll get to that one shortly. Let us first go to all the default ones by Cocos. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this Reafir, F-I-R, press add or double click, and it will add Reafir. As you can see as I talk, because the recording is still armed, it measures all of this. So the first thing we have to do is to disarm recording. Now Reafir is quiet. Now Reafir has quite a few tasks that it can do. Currently it's set on EQ mode. We want it set on subtract mode, and what we're going to do is automatically build a noise profile from this recording that we did. And for that we're going to analyze a quiet portion of the recording. We're going to choose the second quiet portion. We're going to loop that. I'm going to tell Reafir, please analyze what the noise profile looks like. Let's have a quick look. First thing we need to do is a snap can be enabled, but sometimes we may want to disable it. We're going to select a period of quietness. So using my mouse, that is the bit we're going to select. We're going to loop it. We're going to place our start cursor right there, and we're going to select automatically build a noise profile. Now we're in subtract mode, automatically build a noise profile, and we can decide what we want to do. Do we want precise, point, smooth? I am going to leave it on precise. The FFT size I'm going to leave as is, and best quality, you know what, let's leave it on less quality. Should your computer not be able to handle it, we can go to a lower quality setting. So now let's play our track. Just this noise part, we will see that it loops over and over, and let's see what it looks like. We're playing. it's looping over and over, and we can see this red line is what Reaper has determined as is our noise profile. We can now stop playback, and now, very important, please switch off automatically build noise profile. And now this noise profile has been saved for our current recording. You might be recording in the same space every day, so we can set this as a default, and we're going to save this. So we go plus, save preset, office, noise profile, save. So now whenever we open Reaper, we can just choose this noise profile and it will appear. Let's close this one. We want to add another effect, and then second effect we're going to do is we're going to have a look at equalization. So first of all, we can now undo this. We can undo looping. We can put this start play at the start, which I'm going to do by just pressing that button, go to start of project. Let's open a second effect, stay in Caucus, and we're going to do equalization. The screen we get has a 4-band EQ, a 4-band equalization. The first one is a low shelf, but it doesn't have to be. It can also be a normal equalizing, but we're going to leave it the default settings as is. So let's play our track and see what the waveform looks like after we've removed the noise. So as I'm speaking, you can see that the frequencies here and here are the loudest. There's a bit in the middle that's lower, and then it tapers off towards the high frequency range. So what we are going to do is we're going to fix that. So I'm going to pause playback by pressing the space bar or pressing stop, doesn't matter. The first thing we always do is put on a low shelf. We're going to leave the frequency at 100 Hertz. We're going to say please make the gain minus 18-20 decibels, but we don't want this to go all the way up to 1 kilohertz, so we're going to make the bandwidth quite small. Now what we can do is, as we move the frequency, the low frequency noise that we cut out moves up and down. So you can play around with your recording and see where this starts to affect the sound quality of the voice and where not. A good rule for vocals is to add a little bit of high frequency. So I'm now on band number 4. I'm at 5.2 kilohertz and I'm boosting it by around 2 decibels. I can now also play around with other frequencies, and we can go to the extreme while playing the audio. So I'm going to play the audio, and we can move this number 3 around and find out where it sounds good and where it doesn't sound good, and then make it less extreme, like that. This is equalization. The next effect we're going to use is a compressor. A compressor allows us to compress really loud parts of the signal, but also boost really soft parts of the signal so that they sound more even. So we're going to add the compressor, and the last thing we're going to add is the Youlean loudness meter. So let's go to developer, Youlean, and since this is a 64-bit computer, I'm going to use the VST3. I'm going to add that. So the Youlean loudness meter can sit here at the bottom right, Our compressor can sit next to it so we can see what's happened. I'm going to press spacebar and play the track. So now we see that our loudness meter runs at about -20 loudness units full spectrum, LUFS. We are interested in this number. When I'm speaking, it's around -20. I want this to be around -14. So to do that, we're going to add a bit of compression, and it's really that simple. Right now the ratio of compression is 1:1, so it actually does no compression yet. So I'm just going to loop the recording and press play again so that we have signal to work with. I'm going to change the ratio of compression to 3.0. If you want it to be 3.0 consistently, we can do 3.0 by double clicking and typing 3, enter. So now we are still not getting a signal. We have no compression happening. So what we do now is we move the knee and we still have no compression. Why is this important? Why did I do these two things to show you nothing happens? Because I know this is all foreign to you. We want to be able to understand what a compressor does. Because this is not working, we're going to tell it auto makeup. And when we tell it to auto makeup, as well as limit output, we should now be able to do something quite interesting. Let's go. We're going to make this, we're going to leave the knee at 3. We're going to make the knee size, you know what, 24 decibels. Let's have a look what that does. Now you can see it's starting to compress here, but it still is very, very low. Let's bring the ratio up a bit to say 12, and we start seeing some compression happening. If we do not limit the output, does that work? Yes, now we see a bit more happening. However, our loudness meter is still on -20 decibels. We might need to boost the signal a bit. So let's take this threshold and now see we're at -17. We might boost this a bit more. We're going to take the ratio down to 3 again, something that's more reasonable. And we can see that we're now compressing a lot of the signal. And we can listen to this as we do it. Now we're compressing by -12 decibels at least. We can also boost the output of the compressed signal. So as soon as we boost the output, we are now at -12. We're starting to peak, and so we're probably going a bit too high, and there we saw, did you see the 11? So we're going to back this off a little bit. We're going to back the compression off a little bit. The knee size, let's play with the knee size, shall we? So if we take the knee size down to 0, this is really, really driving it. So we're going to take the output down a bit more. See if we can get back to our -14. And this looks good. We're at -15, -14 in the really loud parts. We're going to stop playback now. We can close our Youlean loudness meter and we can close our compressor. So what did we learn with the compressor? That what we need to do is change the threshold to where we see the signal being compressed. We have to use a compression ratio of 3:1, and then we need to adjust the output volume of the wet signal, the compressed signal, until we get the loudness meter correct. Our audio processing is now complete, and now we need to do something about our slides. So to do that, I'm going to do something else. So now we are going to record our audio for our slides. Since we have all these tools available for use, we will use them in our recordings. So I've created a short presentation. It is called the breakfast paradox. Because, you know, people argue over cereal or milk first, what should you do? But of course I say you should always put the bowl first and the table, because else you will have spilt milk and then you need to clean up after yourself. So I know it's a nonsensical presentation, but it'll do the trick. Let's record what we need to do. So per slide, I'm now going to record a new track. So insert a new track. I'm going to double click here and call it slide 1 intro. Don't need to do that, but insert a new track will be for slide 2. And then lastly, I just double click again, slide 3. Okay, now we're going to select slide 1. We're going to arm it. So now we can see we can record something, and we are going to record our audio for slide 1. Here we go. Welcome to this presentation on the breakfast paradox. You may ask yourself, what is the breakfast paradox? We're going to go over all of that in this presentation. Are you ready? Let's go. And we have now saved our recording. So let's move over to slide number 2. Disarm slide 1, arm slide 2, go to slide 1, how to eat breakfast. Let's delete that because as a text doesn't really make sense. So let's go. Slide 2 is armed. Let's record. You know, people always argue over what should be put down first, the cereal or the milk. Well, I say the bowl should be put down first, or perhaps even the table and the floor that the table stands on. But now we're going too far. It is important to always have a bowl before you put cereal or milk down for breakfast. Slide 2 is now created. Let's do slide 3. Arm slide 3. Oh, no, wait, I'm going to record on 2 tracks. Disarm slide 2, and let's do it. If you have made the mistake and you did not use the bowl first, please clean up using a damp cloth. Else your table, your nice wooden table, will just be ruined. Thank you all for your attention. Onwards to the next section. And just like that, we've recorded audio for all 3 slides. So now let us export each one of these audios, and then we're going to put them into the PowerPoint presentation. But before we export them, let us fix them. So we're going to go to Reaper, maximize it, and it's as simple as dragging each effect over to the next one. I want the same effects applied on each track, including the compressor, and I don't really need the loudness meter because my voice is consistent. I must stop recording there. So now let's take track number 2 and we go to render, which is under file, render, and it says, do we want the master mix, which is everything? No, we do not want the master mix. We want selected tracks, stems selected tracks. The bounds, time selection, or do we want the entire project, or the project regions, or selected regions? So this becomes a bit tricky. So we're going to select project regions or time selection. Let's do time selection. And it says now, if we look carefully, the start time is 0, but the end time is 38 seconds, which is the end time of our very first recording. And that's not what we want. We want to only have the recording for this one. So let's cancel this, because there's an easier way to do it. I'm going to create by dragging my mouse. I want this to be the time selection. So if we now go to render, not the master mix, the stems selected tracks, we need a folder where we save this. So for me, so this will be slide 1 intro, and it will save it as slide 1 intro.wave. We can also choose what audio format we use. I recommend staying on wave. Another very popular format is MP3, but only use MP3 if PowerPoint actually allows MP3 files. So for now we'll stick with wave, and we can render one file. We can also use queued renders, so we can render everything at the same time, but this is going to be so fast. Let's just click render one file. Click, and it's done. Let us do the second track, but we now need to change our marker position. Ready? Let's render slide 2. Slide 2. Render. Close. Let us go to slide 3 and we make this shorter. Ready? Render slide 3. And we are done. We are now also done with Reaper. So that we don't lose everything, let's save our project. And we were working in 2021, so breakfast cereal paradox. Oops, and I spelled cereal wrong. Doesn't matter. That was Reaper. We can now go back to our presentation and import those audio files. For animations or for transitions, I don't actually know which one to use. We're going to just use animations for now. So for one, and if we go to our 2021, what do we have? We have slide 1 intro. I'm going to just drag this and there it is. Slide 2. Ready? You know the drill now. Slide 2. And eventually also slide 3. Oops, no, I don't want to play it. I want to drag it into PowerPoint. So I'm going to leave this to you. It starts in click sequence, play across slides, loop until stopped. You can do this yourself. The point is that we now have audio in each of these. Pretty cool. So we can play this one.